All right, folks, usually I start my shave by putting my brush in some water. That's not necessary today. This is a synthetic brush. This is the Cashmere knot, and it is in a WildWest Brushworks brush. And, you know, colorful. I don't know why the guys think they need to add kind of every color. This gold color I don't really like. I'd love this brush if it was just the green, the black, the purple, but still looks nice. And this is a larger handle, and so I'm very interested in trying. This is my first time trying this guy out. All right, so all we need to do is just get him wet whenever we're ready to start to shave. So I'm going to get my gear all set up, and we'll start in just a second. We're going to start with a soap, and this is Southern Witchcrafts Cedar. I talked to the guys that are part of it and asked them if that was a serious occultic type relationship that they believed in and all that, and they said no, that was just a theme that they like to pursue, and you know, that kind of thing, and it wasn't a serious issue. And so so I don't mind shaving, and which is great because their products are really good. The ones that I've tried so far, they're old base, necromantic, and then let's see, Pomona, I've tried that one. The performance was just really good. Alchemist, oh, that's a good scent. And the prices were great. $12, I think, for 4 ounces or something like that. Really good pricing. They just redid their formula. I believe this is going to be my first try with their new formula. Now, even if you're a face latherer, sometimes you kind of have to be a little bit of a bowl latherer, because how are you going to load your brush in this tiny little tub? Now, let's say you get a sample of something you really love, and maybe you're not going to buy it for a while, and so you want to make sure you don't waste it. Well, 1/4 teaspoon measure. Oh, this is a hard soap. Nice. I mean, it's not hard, but it's more firm than a lot of the artisan soaps out there. I like that. Usually means you don't have to use quite as much. I'm going to use a little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon. And there we go. So you can see how it's kind of rounded a little bit inward. I pressed my thumb in there and I pulled it out so it wouldn't quite be 1/4 teaspoon. And then you take any bowl, I mean, pretty much. I don't really like the cappuccino mugs, you know, those big deep bowls. I got big hands, and my hands just kind of, my knuckles start hitting on those because they're so tall-ish. And so I would rather do a cereal bowl or a soup bowl. That would be my preference. At the Dollar Tree, they have a bowl similar to this. It's not as curved right here. It's more straight, and then it turns in. It's a little bit, tiny bit smaller than this one, but it's $1. And that's just a great one to me. And now I will then hook out the soap out of the measuring spoon, and you just press it into the bottom of your soap bowl. This is one way to do it. Your lather bowl. Just smear it around. You don't want any loose pieces, because that usually, unless it's super soft, because that usually will have those. Oh, what a good woody smell. And that's, I do pick up a real cedar scent in there. It's just a very authentic, to me, woody scent. There are some that say they have cedar wood and some other things, but what they end up smelling to me like is just a 2x4 you might pick up at Lowe's Home Improvement. And that's not, you know, there's nothing to that. And that's all they smell like. Soap Commander has one of those, and I believe Henri and Victoria Straight Shave, kind of, that's what I get from it. But this, man, I wasn't immediately taken to like a cedar chest that you might have in your family or something like that, or cedar log planks that you might have in your closet to help with moths. It doesn't immediately take me to those distinctively cedar items. But you know what? It's almost like it's the cedar combined with some sandalwood, because I'm a big sandalwood fan. That might be kind of the blend that I'm picking up. That's pretty neat. I like it a lot. I hope that translates pretty well across once it gets wet and becomes a lather. I would love to have that keep going. Very slick soap. I got some on my hands and it's taking me a while to wash it off. It's slick. All right. The razor for today, I swapped razors. I had one that another online shaver wanted to try out, and then he had one that I wanted to try out. This is the aluminum version. It's from Above the Tie, and it has the bamboo handle. As you would guess, it's very light. Now here's the thing. You hear that sound? I like that because this is not a shiny, polished handle. And so those little micro grooves that I was able to make a noise with my fingernail will help you to keep a hold of it when it's wet and slippery. So the top cap is aluminum, and then I'm assuming this is anodized aluminum since it's blue. This is the Above the Tie aluminum, and this is the H head. As you can see, it's made in the USA. The H, I believe, is their more aggressive head. The R is the middle of the road, and the M is mild. So let us take the blade that we're going to use. Speaking of the R, I did receive this base plate as well, so this will make it a more mild shave. I believe it's a nice, I tried an ATT razor a long time ago, and I just wasn't able to make it work very well, but my technique wasn't as it is now, and so I'm wondering if I'll have a different experience. And I'm going to enjoy trying out the aluminum, a light razor. I've experienced a few of those. I've really liked it. Okay, so here, back when I had the stainless steel version, I did not dare try the H plate, but I'm going to try it today. The reason is this little Nacet blade. It's got 50 dots on the front, and 91 is the total dots, total uses for this blade. So today we're on 92 for this Nacet. So we'll take him out. There's a little X side that I'm going to put on the bottom, and I'm shaving all on the same side with this razor until the very end when it's about to give and I'm about to trade it out. I hope I remember to flip it and then see if there's any difference or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna lay the blade in there. Now this is very interesting. If you look carefully, you'll see these tiny, tiny posts. And so instead of keeping the blade centered by larger posts that go in the bigger holes, they chose to do it with the tiny posts. Now the guy I traded with said to check the blade alignment, because sometimes it did move around a little bit. Yeah, I could see that a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. All right, clamp this guy down. Of course, remember not to over crank with aluminum. And so there we go. So this is the H. You look at that exposure quite a bit, and that's just what the H is supposed to do. This blade has been smoothed out with age. With so many uses, it's a lot smoother, and I've found I can go much higher with aggression on razors, much higher settings and adjustables, much higher more aggressive base plates with ones like this. All right, the soap is ready, and I need to I have a cloth that I had a little behind the scenes info. I have just a washcloth that I put over on the side there, and whenever my razor's done, I have a place to put it where I know it's not going to roll away. Nothing's going to roll away. I'll pull apart all the parts and lay them on there and dab them so they dry off. That's just what I do. And so the razor's ready. I'm going to get my face wet, and I'm also going to get the brush wet, and then we'll start going at that bowl. All right. I have shaken the brush pretty well. It's got a little bit of water in it, and I could shake a few more drops out. There are some in there if I wanted. Now this cashmere knot is interesting. I normally don't like synthetics. They usually have too much backbone for me. They may have super soft tips, those tuxedo knots. Sure, they have super soft tips, but the backbone in those bristles, just if I'm doing painting strokes back and forth, fine. But when I'm doing a circular type stroke, or if I go up and and I'm in a splay, and then I come back down, a lot of times it'll flip and poke, like that. Kind of uncomfortable. There are a few people out there that I've read that kind of have that same experience, but a lot of people don't. They don't mind it at all. Maybe they just use the tips of the brush, and so maybe they don't make it splay quite like I do. Now this guy has, a chunk up here, and so my fingers are back here, and so they're not really protecting the bowl against the clinking and stuff. So I'll try to limit that. And teaspoon into the mix here. They use some really interesting ingredients. Red wine sometimes. Their Pomona scent. Man, I smelled that dry from the puck, and I smelled the apples and the red wine and some other cool stuff. And I really, really enjoyed smelling that. And unfortunately, that smell was gone whenever I wetted it up and put it in the lather. But yeah, this is coming together nicely. One great thing about these synthetics, they whip up a lather pretty quick. Look at those horns, they're not moving very much. This is still too dry. Look at those horns right there. Not moving, easily hold themselves up. We don't want that. I don't. You may want to. I like mine slick. And let's just add the other teaspoon too. So now we've got 2 teaspoons in the lather. So far the comfort level of this handle is nice. The lather scent is a little less strong than when you're smelling it from the puck. That's kind of standard. It's just nice. Oh man, that's nice. Synthetics are also nice for traveling because it doesn't matter quite as much about the moisture inside the knot. They don't hold on to that moisture like the natural hair brushes do, the badgers, the boars, the horsehairs, and so they're great for travel for that purpose. So I get pushed around so much, and so I wanted to try this knot, which is called the cashmere knot, and it feels a lot softer, a lot less backbone than some of the other knots, some of the other synthetics that I have tried, and so I'm hoping that's the case. But the good news is I got this brush at a nice discount price used, and so even if I don't like the knot at all and it shoves me around, I can yank it out of the brush here, the handle, and enjoy this handle on something else. So I'm going to bring all the lather down to the bottom of the bowl. Let's take a look at the, oh, look at that. Nice, see? Nice. Tiny bit of a sheen, but you know what? I think I figured out sheen doesn't matter. It's just a property of the soap. Doesn't mean that your lather's properly hydrated. I've had some sheens happen early on when the soap was definitely not having enough water. Just I guess it's some chemicals or something in the soap that are either there or they're not. Oh, good scent. It's not strong, but it is there and enjoyable. Oh, look at the floppiness of that long tongue right there. So I think we're about to a good consistency level here. I think I've incorporated all the wet parts and dry parts together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do a finger test. Squish. Oh, pretty good resistance. Nice cushion. Nice cushion. Now rub the fingers across. I do feel that I have fingerprints, so it's not too buttery. Nice and creamy. Feels good. I think it's going to be a good lather. I think I'm going to stop since I'm going to stop adding water. Since I feel the ridges pretty well in my fingertips. So I'm just going to mix for just a second more to make sure everything is kind of consistent, properly, evenly distributed, all that. So this is their new base. Their old one was very good. I bought a couple of tubs of their old stuff when they put it on sale to get that stock out of there, and I'm glad I did because it is nice. All right. Notice that this synthetic, it's not splaying a lot like the Badgers and stuff when they're all full of suds. And so let's see, here's what the lather looks like. Usually, if it looks like that, with all those easy contours, the peaks are because I pulled the brush away, and so that's not necessarily a bad thing. But look at all the different contours and changes. Usually my lathers are more relaxed than that. They got so much water that they just kind of bleh. And but because of my finger test there, I'm stopping a little earlier than I might normally. All right. So put the brush down, and I'm going to rinse before I load my face up. All right, here we go. I'm hoping this cashmere knot doesn't shove me around too much. Definitely doesn't hold as much lather, so I'm going to go back into the tub there. Yeah, it's kind of poking me a little bit. I think so many people with synthetics focus on, do you see how it's pushing my cheek up and down like that? That's what bothers me. That's what's not enjoyable. The tips are super smooth, but if I put some super smooth tips on the end of a 2x4 and hit you with it, it would still be a little uncomfortable. So what is behind the tips matters as well. So we'll keep using it, see what happens. It is a little better than like the tuxedo knots, but to me it just seems like pretty much the same old synthetic problems that I don't really enjoy. I'd say a 3 out of 10 in terms of scent strength from this nice cedar offering. I am enjoying that. Got some character to it. It's not just one-dimensional, at least in my opinion. So now that H head, man, this thing feels light compared to that brush. aggressive head. See how it does with a 91 use blade. I definitely feel the blade, a lot of blade feel. So far pretty good. Not uncomfortable, it's not pulling. The heavier razors will mask this kind of feel. I believe the lighter one, you really feel the hairs being run over, and I believe you would feel slicing and stuff if you had a young blade that was just, you know, cutting hairs so easily. I'm almost having to use more force with this light razor. Use more pressure. Good scent. I wonder if this lather is, oh yes, there's a lot of drag. A lot of drag here. The lather's not leaving very much residual slickness. You can see I'm easily pulling my cheek around here. I did take a shower. I unusually took a shower before this shave. Don't usually do that. I have oily skin, but yeah, a lot of drag. That's not good. Could be this brush didn't really let me put the lather on my skin like I usually do. I don't know. Let's rinse. You know what just happened? You saw how my face was being pushed around because it was just dry. Splashed it with water and the slipperiness came alive. Probably thinking that's a sign that the lather needs some more water. So let's do that. Because I mean, and that's what I've been saying for a very long time. If you don't hide, you can have a lather that looks good. And this one, it looked good. If you have a lather that looks good, but it's too dry, it's not hydrated enough, then it'll be on your skin, it'll look all right, but it won't bond with your skin to give you the slickness that you want. Looks like it came true today. I was trying not to over hydrate it since I did feel in my fingertips that it didn't feel kind of buttery slippery. It was more like water slippery. So I added another 2/3 of a teaspoon of water. Let's take a look at the peaks and things. Oh yeah, look at that. A little bit more flexibility, elasticity there. And I'm going to add just a little bit more. I bet that'll be good. Sometimes you can listen to the sound your brush makes inside the bowl. And when it gets slick, it just changes. Imagine that's also something that is different depending on the chemical makeup of the soap. Now this is actually kind of dry, but I don't want to overdo it. I often will take a soap much further than this, where these guys are not able to hold their own weight out to the side like that. But let's not overdo it, and see what happens. Splash my face just a little bit. Again, got to go back to the puck, back to the bowl. Also, the springiness of a lot of these synthetic fibers will, you know, can fling soap off your face depending on how you've mixed it. I think it's that springiness that causes the other problems that I don't like. So yeah, we got some side lather there. Oh, it feels terrific as long as I'm just using painting strokes. This is the story. That's my saga with synthetics. They may feel great like this, but when I'm scrubbing, not so much. Now let's see if this maybe has bonded to my skin and I have some nice glide with this razor. I definitely had some drag that first time. Much better. One thing about the more aggressive razors, they have a larger angle, let's call it angle of usability, because that blade is not recessed very much inside the head. A lot of times you don't really have to learn about the right angle to use, because your natural shaving angle is probably going to work just fine. You can, there's a little vocal. That's you can kind of hear that blade moving across, and that's because there's not all that much bottom support. If you look where that corner is, boy, that thing's like hanging, I would say 4 to 5 millimeters before it actually hits contact on the bottom of the razor blade, and so that's why it's going to be more vocal. Wolfman, Razor Rock Game Changer, Dart from Blackland, and there's some other good ones that really clamp right close to the edge of the blade, right near the cutting edge, and so there's less noise. And the razor microscopically does less chattering as it's moving across your skin. I generally prefer those kind of razors. All right. Rinse. All right, so third pass, let's lather up. Here I am using this aggressive head, and I'm just not having any problems with this blade. It's just all smoothed out. I push down into the lather, kind of like this a lot, not to splay the brush, but just to make it, to kind of shove some of the lather up into the bristles. And as you can see, I didn't have to go back to the bowl to get more lather this time. It looked like it worked pretty well. There we go. This is a very thin, wet lather, so you will sometimes get jumpers like that. A lot of soaps I will try to customize my water level so that I get where those jumpers are kind of dripping down, and I back off the water a little bit, and that's my zone. Because I just don't like having soap flying around the place, and my shirt is just drenched in blop, blop, blop. It's just not my preference. So like I said, and now I've proved this in use, excellent. I don't really like the look of the bamboo handle, but it's giving me very great grip. Since it's not polished, it's milled. It's got those micro lines, and I've got an excellent grip on it while I'm shaving, while it's wet, all that kind of stuff. Be careful now, especially. I don't really have to be careful over here, but when I get back to my right, that's where I'm going to need to be extra special. Over here can get a rash if I don't do it right. And this is, okay, I got a little slickness over here, but not so much over here. Residual slickness. Don't think I'd want to put more water since I've got the flyers going out. Leave it as is. Rinse. I'm getting a pretty good result from this. My face has no irritation at all. Oh, by the way, I'm using cool water. It is hard water. And 24 hours of growth is what I have been working on. There are patches here that have been cut nicely and cut flush. There are a few that need a little bit of work, but I think this is is speaking very highly of this combination for me. Let's do my usual half pass down here as the fourth. So I'm just going to splash a little bit of water down there, just give a little extra hydration, and we'll go back into the lather. Get enough on there. This is to me, what it's taking me to, where it's taking me, is finished furniture with that cedar and what I'm guessing is sandalwood. Just not a forest type wood, more of a dry, finished, raw type construction wood. Nice furniture, something like that. I really like it. I mean, you don't always have to be taken to, the forest when you have a tree scent. All right, here we go. I do feel potential for getting a razor rash. I mean, so it's not all bunnies and roses, but it feels good so far. Here's a little trick. You see that? If you've got enough shaving cream underneath your cap here, you can kind of reapply it on the fly there if you have a spot where you want to get again. And that is important to prevent razor rash. A lot of times I'll get it when I try an area too much without throwing down more lather. Yep, handle is very secure, even when wet and soapy. Very nice. All right, rinse. I still see a little length in 12 or 15 hairs in my little trouble spot area right there. Maybe more technique would be needed for that, but it's a good shave, especially everywhere else. Ooh, That is really nice on my cheeks. That is like 96% baby butt smooth without going against the grain. So nice. I think it's a very presentable shave, and so we're good. Irritation is nil. I did feel a little tenderness as I was coming at it, this area, for the 4th time in a few spots, but that disappeared after I quit with the razor. So here's the lather that's left over. I wonder if maybe I added the water too fast. It's one thing that I might, change. Sometimes if you add water too fast, it doesn't get as creamy. It's more airy. We added a total of 3¼ teaspoons. So you would add that to kind of a light load on the brush. You remember I started out with some in the brush, and that's how much water you'd use for a little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon of soap. Yeah, I didn't, in some parts I didn't really get the glide that I was hoping for, because I think maybe it was too dry. Oh, but I tell you what, the scent is great. That is good. That is good. All right, my first guess based on this lather is that I might like the original base just a little better, but this could be my fault. I might have mixed it up wrong, so we're going to try again. I'm certainly going to try again because this is a great scent. I'll keep this around. I don't think the aluminum razor increased the drag because of its nature at all. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, maybe it's possible. We're good. I did not have to switch down to the R plate because I just never experienced any irritation. So that's 92, 92 shaves now with the Nacet. This is my first time marathoning a blade like this, and just happened to choose the Nacet because it wasn't as well known, and this one's doing great. All right, clean up. I might be interested in repeating this shave with a different brush and see if it mixes the lather differently, or is more able to apply a better layer on me. I definitely think that I don't really like this, even this Cashmere knot. They may have super softened up the tips, but a little too much backbone for me. So again, using the measuring spoon is a great way to make sure you don't use up too much soap in a small sample. For this one, it's about the right amount, I think, a little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon. And that way I know that, wow, maybe 5 more shaves, 7 more shaves in here. It's pretty cool. I may not like the look of the bamboo handle, but it's very functional. And I tried the bamboo handle with the razor rock, and it's a polished handle, stainless steel. I like this one much better because of the grip. The other one, my fingers were sliding around if they got wet, much more so if they got soapy, but this one's great. So if I have to have a bamboo handle, this is the kind that I'm interested in having. Functionally, really well done. So that was a good shave. The razor could have been a little guilty of dragging with that brushed aluminum. Not sure. I'll try it more. See. I was pleasantly surprised that the H had the more aggressive head on that. Worked really well. The blade did well today. Got a pretty respectable shave out of it. The brush was fairly ergonomic. I don't really remember having any ergonomic problems with it. Did not like the Cashmere knot though. And the star of the show was the soap, man. I thought the performance was pretty good. We'll try it again. But the scent and the scent strength on that soap are tremendous. Really, really enjoyed that. Masculine, earthy, outdoorsy, to some extent as well. Just a wonderful thing to have around the house. I could even see blending it with a few things to kind of add flavor. to it, but it's just excellent. I'm so glad they did that one. There we go. I hope this helped you in some way. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.